Welcome to the Heart of Collaboration television show, which is right out of WKCTC television department in the award-winning Paducah, Kentucky. And I am so grateful that you are taking the time to be a part of our viewing audience. Our show today is entitled Race Unity Group of Paducah, Kentucky. This is an exciting group. I'm so happy that I can be at least a small part of it. But today we're going to talk to two wonderful gentlemen, Mr. Floyd Donnelly and Pastor Reynaldo Henderson. And they're going to help us to understand how this was birthed and some of the hopes and aspirations for this group as well. Welcome, Pastor Henderson.
Welcome. Thank you.
Welcome, Mr. Donnelly. Thank you so much. I know you're busy, and we appreciate it. If you want things done, someone told me when I was a kid, ask busy people to do it because they know how to do it and make it happen. Mr. Donnelly, if we would, let's begin with you, and let's talk a little bit about how it was birthed. And I know that involved your sweet wife, God rest her soul. So if you would, just kind of help us to understand all of that.
Well, the birth of this started many, many years ago. My wife's parents were on the interracial committee of Quincy, Illinois back in the 40s. And she grew up trying to work to get the races together. And that has been her lifelong goal, is to do this. Now, she had a premonition, and I don't know what brought it on, but she felt that Paducah needed something as an impetus to get started with the races talking together. She had worked with the interracial women's group, and that was a big plus. She had those friends and those women that worked together, and they had do the Calling All Colors every year to get the children together, because only if we teach our children and they grow up that way will we ever get the adults to change. You learn it in your youth. So she was still doing what she normally did. She had talked with J.W. Clary, and she and I had gone to meet with him one day while he was at work, and he said, yes, we do need to do something. She didn't have an idea as to what needed to be done, but she thought if she had the right people in the room, they'd come up with the right things to do. So consequently, after talking with J.W., we had set up a meeting that it was going to be a luncheon meeting, and J.W. and Connie and I and some other people from the Paducah NAACP, Al Krim from over in Chapa, Illinois was going to come over, and we were going to just brainstorm as to what we could do to improve race relations in Paducah, Kentucky. And we had set it up as this luncheon meeting. On the day of the luncheon, she was on her way to her morning exercise class, and she had an accident with another car, and neither driver survived. But J.W. said that we're still going to have something in her memory. And that's basically where this started. It has been started off with just a few people from the NAACP and a few of the friends that we knew, and it has grown to where there is a large committee of the community of both black and white race people are working together now, trying to put on a movie and also later on a workshop.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you so much. I also want to say that I had the honor of working with your wife through the interracial women's group for quite a few years, and she was very passionate about Calling All Colors, which is annual. And she, if I'm not mistaken, was she the person who brought that initiative to interracial women's group?
Yes, the Calling All Colors was started by a friend of ours that we knew of in South Carolina. And the Carolina Coastal College got a grant to put on a adult getting together because they were having some race relation problems in their town. Well, after the adults met for a day at the college on a Saturday, this friend of ours' daughter said, it's not the adults, it's the children that need to do it. And she was, I think, maybe 10, 12 years old, something like that. She made an appointment with the college, and she got to talk to the dean there and said, we need to do something. And so they got another grant, and they did one for children, and the grant then paid for a film, and Connie brought the film to the Interracial Women's Group, and they just ran with it here. And this year was their 20th year of having the Calling All Colors. It had been here at the college for a while, and then it's been various places, but it's been for the last 20 years we have brought children together and let them discuss things and learn about different cultures. In the beginning, they did a lot more discussion of the race relations within their schools and things like that. And now then they make a plan and go back to their school and present their plan of what they're going to do to improve race relations in their school.
Yes.
So the Interracial Women's Group has really been working on that.
So, Ms. Donnelly, right here in this poster, I think the viewing audience can see it pretty good. Lovely lady with a huge heart. She had enough heart for several people. And she just loved all people. That's the only way you can have unity. You must love all people. Isn't it good, Pastor Henderson, that we don't have to like everybody?
Well,
all we have to do is just love everybody unconditionally.
Absolutely.
And that's the bridge, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, having said that, Pastor Henderson, if you would talk a little bit about the value, the significance of unity, and why it is so important that we must have it not only in Paducah, Kentucky, but all towns, all communities.
Well, I think it goes without saying. It's an old saying that says that we can do more together than we can apart, and I think that's a small saying, but it holds a great significance. And the reality is that there's so many things that can be accomplished within a community, within a church, within any kind of organization, when people are together, when people are on the same page, when people do have the same goals, when people do want the same end. And so when we talk about race and we talk about race relations, it's important that we make sure that happens. I think most of us, if not all of us, are Christians, and we all practice what the Word of God says, to owe no man nothing but to love them. And so if that is indeed reality for us, if indeed we are following the Word of God, then we have a duty, we have an obligation, we have a responsibility to come together and to bring people together on the same page.
And for people who might not have developed faith in a higher power, even so, would you agree that we must set that example for them? Because even though they may not believe the exact same way as maybe most people in our country, that they too have a responsibility and an obligation to seek unity.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, well, the bottom line is that the church obviously has to set the example. The church sets the tone, it sets the trend. It's the leader, if you will. The church is the leader. And so therefore, we are setting the same example, not just for other believers, but we're setting the example for those who are non-believers, those who don't perhaps attend church. And they have to see us. And we talked earlier about Mrs. Donnelly's passion. So they have to see our passion. And as a result of seeing our passion for wanting things to happen, hopefully they'll see the need for them to join in with us.
Pastor, who are some of the people, if I know we can't call all their names in this segment, but give us the names of some of the people who have already come on board with the Race Unity Group.
Well, we have first some of our city leaders. We have Sheriff John Hayden, who is on board. You have Chief Brandon Barnhill. You have Mayor Gail Kaler. You have some of the other commissioners who have made it known that they want to see something like this happen. You have some pastors like Nathan Joyce at Heartland Worship Center. You have John Akins at the Faith Center. You have Dan Summerlin at the First Baptist Lone Oak. You have Pastor Charles Moore. And all of these are some of our white pastors who have larger congregations who obviously influence larger groups of people. So we have a good cross-section of people, both black and white, who are joining forces to make this happen.
Mr. Donnelly, what do you want to see I know we're going to talk in a few minutes to Ms. Kadeem, and we're going to talk to Pastor Anderson. But let me ask you, as the wonderful husband, and you were always literally supportive of everything Connie Donnelly was doing, and you were an active part, as a matter of fact. What do you want to see through this race unity group of Paducah, Kentucky, not only for Paducah, but for surrounding areas?
I would like to see a continuum of relations. We can all go to a one-time thing and we feel good, we've done our thing, and we go back home. But I would like to see friendships made, and people working together, living together as friends and comrades rather than as we and they. I would like to see the community, no matter what their color, work together as a community. One of the things of my religion is, one of the basic tenets is to erase all prejudices. And there are many kinds of prejudice, whether it's political prejudice, whether it's prejudice of my country, whether it's racial prejudice. All prejudice must be erased before we can have unity within the world. And that's what we're working for, is world unity. We start in Paducah. Little steps will get there, but I would like to see friends going out to eat together, going to each other's house for playing cards, whatever it may be, whether it's just movie night, going together and having close friends that are not your relatives and people like you.
Yes. Pastor Henderson, as we close, we have about a minute or so. What would you like to say before we end our time together about why it's so important for others to also join with us in this race unity group?
Well, I think very, very simply put, I think that there should be we want friendships developed. When friendships are developed, then stereotypes are destroyed. When stereotypes are destroyed, then you get to know my heart and I get to know your heart. We get to understand each other's pain and joys and the whole 9 yards. And so it's so important that we come together, because this is what we want for our city.
Yes. And ladies and gentlemen in our viewing audience, you've just heard from two very strong, passionate, powerful men in our community. And they represent unity already. We'd like to encourage you to become a part in some way or another. If you do not physically become a part of it, at least be able to contribute in some way or another. I believe that it will be well with your soul, and it will certainly be well with our community and the region at large. Thank you for tuning in to The Heart of Collaboration. I'm your host, producer Bernice Belt, and I'm grateful for your time. Welcome back to the second segment of this show, all about race unity group that has originated here in Paducah, Kentucky. And just in case you just tuned in, we had Mr. Floyd Donnelly, and then we had Reverend Ronaldo Henderson, both of Paducah, Kentucky. And now I'd like to welcome Elizabeth Kadeem and Pastor Alfred Anderson.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you here, and thank you for taking time. I know that you're both busy. You have a lot on your plate because of the things you are already on a mission to do, and now you're on a mission to do this. Reverend Anderson is president of the Community Clergy Fellowship in Paducah, Kentucky. He is also the pastor of Greater Lincoln Heights Baptist Church on Bloomingfield, right here in Paducah, Kentucky. And Elizabeth, we'll let you share a little bit about yourself as well. And welcome, and again, thank you.
Thank you so much for having us.
Well, let's make sure that we zero in specifically on some things that are going to come up fairly soon, but we also want to talk about your goals and aspirations for the Racial Unity Group. And you may even also talk to our viewing audience about some of the things that you need from them. And so, Elizabeth, if you'd like to begin.
Yes, well, our group, as the other people may have told you, started in mid-November. we wanted to be intentional, not reactive to the events around race in this country in the last year. We wanted to do something very positive, and we formed this group. We've been meeting twice a week for the first 2 months, now every week, as we are anticipating our first event, which will be the showing of a wonderful film called Racial Taboo. It has been out for a year. It has been seen by thousands of people in North Carolina and South Carolina, and we are the third state to bring it. And we're so proud that Paducah really wanted to do this. It tells a lot about our city. And the fact that we're getting wide support from ministers, from city officials, from school officials, and the general public is so encouraging.
Well, before we go to Pastor Anderson, originally this group was referred to as a committee. But you have made it clear, and all of your promotions and what have you are going to be Race Unity Group of Paducah, Kentucky.
That is right.
When you decided that you wanted to bring this film to Paducah, tell us the process. How did that thought process originate, and bring it up to the present, if you would?
We knew a person that was in the movie. We didn't know at the time that he had been in a movie, but he wrote in his blog about being in this movie. So we looked it up, and we found very quickly that it was very exciting. You know, there's a lot of movies about race that leave people feeling mad, sad, or feeling guilty. And the director of this film, Brian Grimm, seeks to avoid all of that and only to inform, so that we can at last have a common sense of our history, the one that we really didn't get in our school textbooks. And then to answer the question, all right, where do we go from here? How can we become more intimate friends among people of different races? And the filmmaker himself really evolved in the process of making this film. His name is Brian Grimm. He self-describes as a middle-aged, conservative Republican white guy who in midlife had an epiphany about injustice and really wanted to share what he learned. And he already had businesses that he had learned about filmmaking and decided to make this film. And I asked him why that avenue. And he said, you know, once you see and hear something, you can't not see it and not hear it. It may affect you right then or later, but it's within you. And he had a small issue in that at the beginning, he didn't know any black people that he called friends. And he went to his liberal friends, and they didn't know any either. And he began to see the depth of this unknowing, this unfamiliarity among us. And over the course of 4 years, he's formed really deep friendships and interviewed a number of people that he now calls his friend. And the other thing that I think is so vitally exciting about this film and the process is that the film is only shown to integrated audiences. It's 53 minutes long, and we ask the audience to stay for an hour after the film to discuss how we felt about it. What did it bring up emotionally for us, or what memory did it evoke in us? So we'll be in groups of 10. Each person has just 2 minutes to speak, and then conversation tends to flow from there. But then that's just a first thing. It's not the only thing. And what we hope is that that conversation will continue. We're going to also have a workshop on May 9th that will be an all-day workshop. And then we hope to have at least a 6-week series showing Henry Louis Gates Jr.'s African Americans, Many Rivers to Cross. It's 6 50-minute parts, and we want to continue the conversation by viewing that and having about a half-hour discussion as a way to continue the conversation. And then by then, I'm sure there will be other things that we will do throughout the year. So this is certainly not a one-time.
And that's the wonderful thing about this show is that we're showcasing the Race Unity Group. And then we want to talk about things that will date just a few minutes of the show, but then we're going to add all those things are going to be ongoing because as the teenagers used to say in my day, the party don't stop. So, this is going to be as long as unless God says different.
That's right.
Well, Pastor Anderson, as a citizen and then as a pastor, as a man of color, how did that viewing that we had several days ago, tell us some of the high points without giving it all away, and then some of the things that you walked away with after looking at this film preview rather.
Well, first of all, the film gets away from stereotyping, and the film then brings about conversation. And you know, this is not the first time that we've had groups to talk about race, but those other groups fizzled out.
Yes, sir.
But we really feel that this group will be ongoing because we feel, if I can say so, that God has a hand in this because of the many people and the broad section of people who are involved. And I just think that the involvement of the community, I think the community is ready for change.
Yes.
Ready for change. And so these are some of the things that I brought from the movie, is that what the movie did for us is not a cure-all for everything, but it's a start, and it's a great start.
Yes, sir. And Pastor Anderson, who are some of the people that are already a part of the Race Unity Group?
Well, we have some people who are a part of, and then there are some who are apart. Okay, so those who are a part of are, see, there's Reverend Henderson, there's Brother, of course you saw Brother Donnelly a few minutes ago, J.W. Cleary, Miss Kadim's husband, and several other people, and I feel like the sheriff of McCracken County is a part, and other people, I can't really come off the top of my head who they all are, but these are the kind of people who are involved. I feel like the city government and the county government all have a part in this, and they are endorsing this, and so some of those persons who didn't get a chance to see the film are a part of this committee, a group.
Yes, sir. Now, also, as you've been the president of the Community Clergy Fellowship for several productive years, and also as a pastor of a flock. And of course, we know that the Bible says that you are to feed your sheep. Well, the leaders of every community are feeders of sheep. We call them citizens, taxpayers, voters, men and women, children. And so from that standpoint, what is the importance of pastors, black and white, being a part of this wonderful positive movement?
It's very, very, very highly important, because what it can do for us is, for once and all, we can start looking at people as Martin said, not by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character.
Yes, sir.
And if we as leaders in the community began to broadcast it to our people, and it becomes important to us, and if it becomes important to us, then it becomes important to the groups that they're sharing with.
Yes, sir. Well, the movie itself is going to be at Maiden Alley, right downtown in Paducah, Kentucky. And what are those dates and times?
Saturday and Sunday, April 11th and 12th, 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. each day, for one weekend only.
Yes. And admission?
A suggested excuse me, donation of $5.
And I want to encourage everyone, please bring that donation, because if you compare that with the admission to movies and the concerts and different things, $5 is not really admission. It's sort of like a tip. And it can be used to take care of a few of the expenses that are going to be incurred in bringing this movie to Paducah. Will the producer?
Yes,
be
the
there?
director-producer, Brian Grimm, is coming for the opening because we are the premier showing in the state of Kentucky.
Well, did you hear that? Paducah, McCracken County,
He will
we are
be here
the
for
premier
Saturday.
showing.
That's right.
Oh my goodness,
Louisville
please.
and Lexington were talking about it.
Yes.
Paducah is doing it.
Bring a
So-
notepad so you can get his autograph.
That's
Bring your
right.
cell phone that you'll turn off before the viewing and you can turn back on afterwards. Get some selfies with the producer.
That's right. That's right.
And then May, say that again for us.
It will be on Saturday, May 9th, is an all-day workshop. The time is not fixed nor the place. And so, but that information will be available. We will be handing out flyers for those additional meetings at the movie. So we will know that then.
Yes. And then after the viewing audience, you've enjoyed this show, we want you to keep in mind that the Race Unity Group is an ongoing group.
Yes.
It is a pivotal group for our entire county. And I just have a feeling, don't y'all, that it's going to be pivotal in our region.
Yes, yes.
And maybe y'all just keep it up, we just keep it up, that people all over the United States will know about this
Yes.
group and then maybe set the example for other community leaders to begin doing this
Yes.
type of thing. Don't let it die,
That's
give it
right.
life,
Yeah.
let it thrive, and don't leave it alone, just continue letting it thrive, right, Pastor?
That's exactly what we're hoping for.
Yes, and we have a couple of minutes maybe
Oh.
before we close out. So other than the things you've already shared,
Yes.
Elizabeth, what are some of your dreams? What are some of your goals for this group?
I'm so glad you asked because we have an example in a town in North Carolina called Edenton, North Carolina, a town of 5,000 people who 1 year ago saw the film Racial Taboo. It's a town where the racial divide was very entrenched. And they also had meetings set up, and 30 to 40 people came to the next meeting. They did this 6-part series, and the coordinator thought that might be it. But they have just had their year anniversary of meeting every week for a year, and it is changing the culture of their town, and that group has asked to be part of the Human Rights Commission now.
Oh my goodness.
So it has, we never dreamed of that success, so we know it's possible, and actually the director of the film is now making a mini documentary about how that happened, so that it will be an example for Paducah and other cities just like us.
Well, we're looking forward to a documentary being done for what's going on right here in Paducah,
That would
Kentucky.
be good.
right.
That would
I
be
think,
good.
That's right.
Yes, I thank both of you. I thank God for you coming on today and for you doing what you're doing. I'm looking forward to continuing to be a part of this
Thank
group, to
you.
be used in
Thank
any
you so
way
much.
I can be used. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you, and we appreciate you. And please keep watching and reading and looking and listening about the Racial Unity Group, and we expect you to be excited about it too. Thank you from the Heart of Collaboration TV show.
Thank you.